that is outside the fence surrounding Westmore's car park area. A roll call will be taken at that point. Note that a chamber staff will be present to assist you through the evacuation process. Bathrooms are on the eastern side of the floor, down the corridor to your left and right. Finally, as a matter of courtesy, we ask that your cellular phones be switched to either vibrate or silent mode. Thank you for your attention.
Great. Ms. Misha Loban-Clark, Executive Director of the Barbados Chamber of Industry and Commerce, Ms. Kian Greenwich, Chief Executive Officer of Invest Barbados, Mr. Danraj Hariprasad, General Manager, Client Services of Export TT, Mr. Ian Haywood, Operations Manager, Answer Mobility, representatives from our sponsors, Flow Business and Answer Mobility, Trade Mission delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to all. On behalf of the CEO, Mr. Stephen Degans, who had to leave to deal with a very urgent matter for the business community, thank you for joining us today for this seminar on doing business in Barbados. My name is Leoy Onika Howard. I am the trade specialist within the Trade and Business Development Unit here at the Chamber. And I am also this year's project lead for our upcoming trade mission to Barbados. It is a pleasure to be here this morning delivering these remarks. Today's Doing Business with Barbados session, as you may be aware, is a precursor to our official mission to the market, which will be undertaken in October. I think you could appreciate that we are still doing some adjusting following 2 years of lockdown and the ramifications that came with the COVID-19 pandemic. This session has been organized to bring together key stakeholders, in particular exporters, companies interested in exporting, small and medium enterprises, female entrepreneurs, and export financiers from Trinidad and Tobago with a keen interest in expanding business operations into the Bajan market. Our distinguished presenters from both countries will offer insights, market intelligence, data, and credible information on investment and business opportunities in Barbados. The Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce is a key stakeholder and advocate for international trade, regional integration, and trade facilitation. The organization maintains a strong focus on encouraging national export capacity, including within our region and more so with our CARICOM partners. Trade missions, such as the one planned for October, are very important as a tool for fostering relationships and establishing a path for more lasting business ties. So, why Barbados, you may ask? Over January last, a survey was conducted by the Chamber's TBDU unit for our members, which was also extended to include the wider business community. It explored potential markets of interest and looked at challenges faced by Trinidad and Tobago businesses. This included scarcity of foreign exchange, effects spiraling from the COVID-19 pandemic, international supply chain issues, and continuous vulnerability in the Caribbean due to climate change. Businesses indicated the importance of re-establishing relationships in neighboring markets such as Barbados, which would have been negatively affected during the pandemic. For micro and small businesses, Barbados presented itself as an ideal market for which newcomers to exporting would succeed based on geographic location, shipping routes, partnering distributorships, and the overall business climate. Since its last review in 2015, Barbados has successfully streamlined custom procedures, including the transition to Assecuda World in September 2019, the initiation of a trusted trader program, and a considerable reduction in processing time for import licenses. The Chamber's mission is being supported by Export TT under its Export Booster initiative. The EBI was initially developed out of a strategic effort to counteract the impact of COVID-19 on the manufacturing sector, with targets for 2024 being set. To achieve those targets, the EBI is pursuing 16 initiatives under 3 broad categories. Mr. Danraj Hariprasad, who is also one of our presenters today, will tell you more about the opportunities available for your businesses during his presentation. A main goal of the Chamber is to enhance the Trinidad and Tobago businesses community's competitive advantage, assist in providing opportunities for business expansion, increase foreign exchange earnings, and wealth generation through export-led growth. This seminar, to which the upcoming mission is related, is but one of the ways we hope to support your businesses. Additionally, in November, we will present our 10th annual award for export growth when we name the internationally known TNT-owned Company of the Year, along with the 3rd annual Breakthrough Exporter of the Year award at our Champions of Business Award Gala. Additionally, we continuously work to foster beneficial trade relations through strategic meetings such as the Ghana Investment Promotion Center and the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, with whom we met earlier this year. All of this is a part of how the Chamber advocates and represents our members for policy making. If you are not yet a member, just contact us to learn how to become one so we can have you as part of our family. We hope that at the end of this seminar, you would have garnered pertinent information that can be successfully applied to your business operations so that you can experience success in the Barbados market. Our goal is to assist you in increasing trade in the near future and trust that participating in this seminar and the trade mission will give you the relevant knowledge required to enhance growth. As we get right into the featured presentations, we ask that you keep note of all your questions and concerns as we do have a Q&A segment for you. So it is my honor to introduce to you virtually Ms. Misha Loban-Clark. Misha is the Executive Director of the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry. In this role, she has been leading the process of organizational change and repositioning the BCCI to be more visible and engaged. She will share her unique perspective on business collaboration gleaned from leading what can be described as one of the first ports of call for companies wishing to do business in Barbados. At this point in time, let us turn our attention to Misha. To save time, we will switch around the order of today's proceedings, and at this point in time, I will invite Mr. Dhanraj Hariprasad to deliver his presentation. Dhanraj brings his 9+ years of experience from Export TT in several areas of trade promotion activities throughout Latin America, North America, and Europe to share with participants at this Doing Business seminar. As Export TT's General Manager for Client Services, he is responsible for ensuring that the company provides support to exporters like yourself who need to achieve their objectives of business growth. Dhanraj?
be anywhere, right? Thank you. Okay. Okay, good. Morning, everyone, again. So I'm Dan Raj from Export TT. Most of you guys are here because you are interested in Barbados. I'm sure that you've done some level of research to justify your decision to embark on this trade mission or even start looking at the market. So I'll leave it to the other presenters to really get into some of the market information. What I want to do this morning is introduce you to Export TT or reintroduce you if you already know about us, and how we support companies both in terms of building your capacity building to get standards to improve your productive capacity so that you are ready to get into a particular market. And then I'm going to really zone in on trade missions and the sort of support that we provide through our Export Booster initiative to participants in missions, pre-mission, during the mission, and post-mission as well. Right, so I'll start by introducing Export TT. And the way I like to introduce ourselves would be, like, we are your growth partner every step of the way for exports. So once you're thinking about exports, you could come and have a chat with us, and we'll just figure out what you need to do and chart a way forward for you. Right, so what is Export TT Limited? We are a team of people dedicated to help exporters become export ready, stronger, and winners. We are partner to our exporters in achieving their objectives. So the first thing we'll do when you come to us is have a conversation about what do you want to do in exports? What are your goals? What are your objectives? And we'll work with that to develop a plan so that you can achieve it. We cannot do these things alone. There's so much to be done. I mean, Leroy spoke about the goal of the Export Booster Initiative, which is to double non-energy exports from a 2019 baseline all the way up to 2024. So it's going to reach $5.4 billion. So it's a lot of money to bring in through exports. Export TT can't do it alone. I mean, we have 55 staff members. They all work very well, but still, even with that, we can't achieve that on our own. So we rely on different organizations like the Chamber of Industry and Commerce, TTCSI, TTMA. All those stakeholders have to do their part because we're all going after the same objectives of working with our businesses, manufacturers, and getting them to export. We all know about the foreign exchange situation. Everybody with the Republic Bank credit card would probably know what was happening with that and feel that pinch a bit more these days. So really need to work on getting that foreign exchange back into the country. Right, so just to be honest with you guys, we are a public institution, right? We are government, its own organization. So there are certain sort of characteristics that you expect to have with a state organization. And we took ownership of that, and then we decided, well, no, we're going to change that. We want a different identity. So we would have been a very task-oriented organization, doing the ticking of boxes, having elaborate application processes. When somebody start the application and they're like, nah, this is too much, it's not worth my time. Processes that were just unnecessary, focusing on outputs like the number of people attending a trading session or how many training sessions you had, number of missions and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, exports wasn't ticking along because it's just the numbers. So we have shifted our focus to focus on our clients, because when you look at the big picture of the data, what moves that are exporters, companies, and then people within those companies. So we really need to know who they are. So we started focusing on delivering value, being available to the customer, going out and meeting with the customers so that we know what is going on, how their operations are set up, providing an evolving range of products, of support and services. So this is another thing. Things would have been handed down to us by our ministry, and then we try to implement it on our own. But there were some issues and limitations of it. So we started pushing feedback up to our ministry to have those things change so that they work better. And we focus on your objectives because it's the same as ours, right? You're trying to increase exports to earn more foreign exchange revenue. We want you to do that. That's our objectives as well. Right, so what do? We do a lot of capacity building work, work with clients who are serious about turning export ambition into reality. That seriousness is important to us, and we figure it out through applying something called an export readiness assessment, so we know that you have the characteristics and you have the people that are serious about getting things done. We help companies to meet import requirements and quality expectations, encourage innovation through grants and information, and we offer training and coaching. On the export promotion side, which is why we're here now, we are supporting this trade mission that the Chamber is executing to Barbados. We create connections and help nurture relationships, gather market intelligence in key markets, conduct matchmaking meetings between exporters and buyers, and we support companies' participation in trade shows. Right, these are some of our projects. So we have a number of public sector investment program funded projects, a research and development facility, a co-financing facility, standards implementation, training programs, and an export incubator that's under that funding. We also do trade facilitation. So those of you who already export, if you are exporting to a CARICOM market or a trade agreement market, duty-free, most likely you have a certificate from Export TT that allows you to do that. Right, so our Export Booster Initiative. So this has been a game changer for Export TT in that it made a lot more funding available to us and gave us a lot of autonomy in terms of the development of new products and services. So we were able to look back of the years gone by at all the challenges that exporters had, all the things that were not working well, and try to improve it as best as we can. So I think those of you who would have been following the organization would have noted a substantial difference in terms of our offerings and support in the last 2 years or so. Right, just to go through quickly, Leo, I mentioned 16 initiatives, right? So we were not able to implement all of those initiatives because there was some prioritization that needed to happen due to some constraints. And these are the ones that are active right now. So under capacity building, we have International Certification Fund, which provides funding to achieve international certification and standards for exports. It doesn't only cover the technical support that is required, but it goes so far as covering equipment and machinery that you would need and infrastructure changes. So particularly for the food and beverage sector, if you needed to get a HACCP certification or ISO 22000, sometimes your facility, there might be some changes. You need to move a window from here, a door there, change up your lighting fixture, stuff like that. So what we would have been doing is offering technical support, so telling people what they need to do, but they have no funds to actually do it. So this was a fundamental change with this particular grant in that we made that funding available. We're doing some work with Tobago capacity building, mainly through coaching. And that is really trying to build that sort of entrepreneurship mindset and also offer some support to those manufacturers to move them into just servicing the domestic market, servicing Trinidad to some extent, but looking towards export. And there's some other programs that we graduate them to. There's a program in particular under this line item here called the Tobago Indigenous Sweets Project. So those of you familiar going to Tobago and seeing things in bags and not knowing what the expiry date is, or some harder than others, and you have to watch your teeth. We've been working with those manufacturers and Kariri to standardize those products, to standardize recipes, upgrade the packaging. So in the next couple of months, when you go to Tobago and you see some of the products that are offered by the clients we supported, it's going to look fundamentally different, right? We have an export accelerator program as well that really packages all our support together and matches an exporter with an experienced export manager so that they can navigate that market entry process with someone guiding them who has been through that process before, and product testing and modification. So for certain markets, you need to do your testing. For other markets, you might need to change your packaging or modify the sweetness of a product, or there are certain banned substances or something like that. This grant supports that as well. Right? There's some institutional strengthening that we did earlier on in the EBI to make sure organizations like Export TT and TTMA were a little more ready to implement all these things. And then on the export promotion side, we do market intelligence support through our market surveys. So we go into a market with an on-the-ground consultant and gather the information, primary data collection, and then analyze that so we know exactly what's happening in that market, and we bring it back to our exporters. trade missions, in-market promotion. That's where if you secure an order through a trade mission, we would give you up to $80,000 TT to work with your distributor to promote the items. So you could do it social media, boosting, ads on radios, in-store, marketing, sampling, all that will be covered by this. And sector profiles, that's something that we're working on right now to showcase some of the key sectors within the country and really expose them in different trade shows that we attended, as well as through our different foreign missions. And that brings us to commercial officers and attaches. So there are 5 of those that will be going into different markets. There's one in Panama that's already there, Mr. Vincent Ramlochan, Darrell Smith, who is in Miami. And there are 3 others that will be going to UK, Jamaica, and Guyana. So those will be your focal point if you're doing any business in those markets. They are the ones who would identify contacts, contact people on your behalf, contact research on your behalf. Those will be the main point person if you're doing any business in those countries. And it's their job to support you. Right, so how do we help exporters to get into market? So I'm just gonna run through a scenario here, right? So if someone comes to us, the first thing that we'll do is we'll try to provide as much information as possible to them so that they know what they're getting into. So we have information on trade data, inflows, outflows, the duties, the import requirements, distribution prices, logistics, key contacts, and the costs involved. And we would have acquired that through our market surveys. Next, we'll need to, once we know what the import requirements are, we may need to work with companies so that they are able to enter the market successfully and meet the requirements. So we'll help them to meet those requirements through our programs and standards like HACCP, ISO, UL, Organic, any sort of other voluntary standards we'll support. We arrange matchmaking meetings and we follow up on the good leads to ensure that they are converted into orders. So these are generated through both our trade missions and trade shows. And then a step further to that, after you secured your order and you need to ship samples, we'll cover 50% of the cost of shipping those samples across to your distributor, right? We'll cover product testing if required, your product registration. If you want to attend a trade show after, I know Barbados has a trade show. If you want to attend that after to further push your product, we'll cover 50% of the booth space required and the entry cost. The label design and modification, if you need to change up that and have different nutritional facts. So, you know, there's a debate, ongoing debate about front of label packaging. So we hope, well, we'll see what plays off with that, and that might require some changes to your labeling as well. And we have an airfare assistance grant. So this is pretty new to us, and what we've been seeing is there's a lot of trade missions happening, and people want to go on multiple trade missions, but oftentimes they are unable to afford to go on all of them, even though the markets might be important to them. So we are offering up to $15,000 per year to companies to participate in trade mission. This is solely for the airfare. So for regional travel, you could go up to $5,000, and for extra regional travel, up to $10,000. So you could figure out if you want to do 1 extra regional and 1 regional, or like 3 regional, is up to you how you spend that. The ceiling is $15,000. Right, so we're on a trade mission. We're looking at a trade mission right now. So I'm just going to go through like our mission and post-mission support. So the airfare assistance grant, as I mentioned, $15,000 per year. Co-financing, 50% coverage of shipping of samples, trade show participation, website development, and e-commerce if you look into that as well. In market promotion, up to $50,000 for small companies, up to $85,000 for large and medium companies, and then your labeling and product testing, up to $80,000. Right. So what have we been doing? So for this fiscal so far, we've done 9 trade missions, and these are the markets that we've been to. Jamaica, we've done both a goods trade mission and a services trade mission. We've done, well, that's more than 5 trade shows, but I think I put in the title and then I realized how many additional trade shows we actually did. So we did quite a number of trade shows as well. And then we still have upcoming events to close off 2023. So we have a trade mission to Guyana with TTMA. We have trade mission to Barbados with Chamber. We have Belize Market Survey, Cuba Business Forum, followed up by Havana Fair. We're participating in China International Import Expo and then there's another trade mission to Antigua. So still a lot happening in this year to close off. Right, so your export promotion checklist, like if you go into a trade show or a trade mission, there are certain things that you want to make sure that you have in order before you embark on this journey. One is the capacity to meet potential orders. So if you are approaching your max capacity and then you're going out to a trade mission, that's kind of rough because it really doesn't make sense. Because if someone asks for an order tomorrow, you're unable to fulfill it. You're going to have to explain, well, hey, I want to buy some machinery or add a new shift. And by the time you sort out all that, they probably go to someone else. So it's important that you have that excess capacity. You know how much you have and what you're willing to put on the table. Competitor information. So you can't go in there, yes, it's great if you think your product is the best. I would want to believe that you do, but it's also important to know who you are competing with, how your products are better than theirs, what sort of value it brings to the client, and you know how you really pitch that differentiated stance that your product may have. So you need to know the competitors, and I think the positioning of products is extremely important because if you are premium products, you're gonna if you have a premium product, you're gonna look at other premium products. You're not gonna look at an economy or a value brand. You're not competing in that level. So know where your product is positioned, and then you look to see who are you competing with at that level, rather than looking at all the products in all the categories. Information on potential buyers, the company, and the person. So you're going to have an agenda that will be provided by the Barbados Chamber of Commerce. Some of those meetings perhaps you would have asked for, and then there might be other meetings that they would have put on to your agenda based on your products or what you wanted to get out of the trade mission. It's important that if you don't know those companies, you find out about them, right? You might get a brief from the chamber, but go and check their website, see what their portfolio looks like, what is on the portfolio, and also take some time to know about the person that you're meeting with. So you have access to LinkedIn accounts. You could go and look up and see what this person is about, what their history is, what their position in the company is, and those sort of things. So when you enter the meeting, you're not entering like not knowing anything. You know about the company, you know about this person. You could always break the ice very easily by mentioning something because you know something about it. So that is important in the prep. Promotional material, including the product itself. So we don't go with like a bare table like this with nothing to show, right? At least have like a computer, tablet with some pictures at least, but it's always great if you have a product. I mean, with service providers, it might be different. You'd probably have to rely on the electronic devices. But if you have a product, take the product with you so that they can touch, feel, see what is happening. That is very impactful. Pricing info. So the discussion, once they're interested, will head towards price. Price is usually the point where negotiations will actually go forward or it will start to break down. So it kind of links to the one below with decision makers should attend the meetings. Because sometimes someone will attend the meeting, but they're unable to make a decision on the price at that point in time. So they would have to come back and say, okay, let me discuss that with my manager and I will get back to you. But if you are meeting with the decision maker at that point in time, it sends like a bad signal in that, okay, I am here to buy, I'm here to make a decision. Like, what are you here for? So as much as possible, if you could try to get a decision maker or give some sort of decision-making authority to the person who is representing you at the meeting. So perhaps you know what your max price would be or what you are willing to put on the table, and you equip your representative with that so that they are able to move things along. Right? Applicable taxes and duties. We've had a couple of instances where people ship products to regional markets, and then the duties came in, and then they came back to Export TT to find out what we can do to help. And then we have to rush down to get a certificate of origin for them, right? So that involves a factory visit while your production is happening, and then going on to TT BizLink and sorting out all that. So it's not very easy to do. So it's important that if you are exporting to a market, you make sure and check the agreement, see if you have duty-free access, and you apply and have all those things in place before, because it could end up being costly. Because we try our best to assist in those circumstances, but when you have your container on the port and you're waiting on a certificate, you're gonna have to pay demurrage fees, and sometimes it's not possible based on your manufacturing process. If you're doing just a few runs, if the nature of your product is that you do a few runs for the year and you're done for the year, like how are you gonna get a certificate? It's gonna be very difficult, right? Import requirements I mentioned before, and have sample sizes available so that they could take with them. I mean, sample sizes, they help you out a lot in terms of getting through with customs and stuff like that when they're labeled properly as well. Right, and I'll end. This is a picture from our participation in the America's Food and Beverage Show that ended yesterday. Yeah, so very fresh. So just give you an idea. So those lovely ladies in red are our staff members, and we had participation of about 5 of our exporters at this show. So our next trade show will be Havana Fair, but the major one that we're looking at will be Expo Comer in Panama. So if you guys are interested in that, you could give us a shout. And this is my contact information here. It's my actual cell number, but feel free to WhatsApp me, and I'll put you on to the right person to take you forward. So thank you very much for your time, and I wish you the best of luck in this trade mission to Barbados. I will be attending as well. So if you have any other questions while we're there, please feel free to reach out. I have my colleague Deborah who's here as well. So after the seminar, we could have a discussion on any of the things that I covered this morning. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
But we will share the presentation as well, so you can have the resources and all of the information that is necessary for you all, because that's what we're here about, information dissemination. So with all the grace in the world, I'm hoping that the technical stuff doesn't fail us moving forward. So we will have our presentation from the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry now. As I mentioned before, Ms. Misha Loban-Clark is the Chief Executive Director, the Executive Director of the Chamber, and she has a lot of insights for you all this morning. I guess my grace is not sufficient. Oh. Okay, there she is.
Good morning. Can I get an indication? Okay. I may proceed? Okay. Good morning, everyone. Pleasant morning to the leadership of the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Commerce, to my fellow panelists, and to our participants online and those in person. I've been asked to make a presentation on doing business in Barbados, and my presentation format in terms of outline, I'll provide an overview of Barbados as the economy, top 7 reasons why Barbados is an attractive market for doing business, and I'll also provide an overview in terms of the ease of doing business in Barbados. I've also been asked to just look at the successful strategies to assist you when doing business in Barbados. And finally, I will speak to the role and services offered by the Barbados Chamber of Commerce to support businesses as they seek to expand their market. So at this time, I'll just present the overview of the Barbados economy, just giving you a snapshot on this slide. I think it's very clear. But I'll just say Barbados is a middle-income country with a diversified economy driven primarily by tourism and international business. It has one of the Caribbean's highest per capita incomes and is ranked in the highest category on the Human Development Index. And as shown on the slide in terms of our GDP, at 2022, our GDP was US 6.28 billion. I will just jump to, that's the snapshot, but I think more interestingly is what would we say as a person, prospective business person coming into Barbados? Why would you want to do business in Barbados? And I've just captured only 7 points, really. It's not limited, but 7 key points I feel that as a member of the chamber, if I am promoting Barbados, I'd like to highlight as the most important and attractive reasons for doing business in Barbados. One, Barbados is regarded as most attractive in the Caribbean, and one, because it is an economy that is highly literate in terms of the population, well-trained labor force. The economy is also stable, and when we speak about ranking, Barbados is in fact ranked the least corrupt country in the world according to the Transparency International Corruption Perceptions Index, with a ranking of 29 out of 180 countries assessed in the organization's 2022 index. We also, when we speak about the open regime for domestic and foreign investment, again, because the economy is one that is non-discriminate in principle in terms of the degree of openness for encouraging foreign investment, and certainly Barbados is rated for in terms of the level of protection given to investors' properties and in settling investment disputes. We also have a well-regulated and business environment, and when we speak of Barbados and in terms of the business ecosystem, again, we can also say that Barbados has been pursuing, as an economy, private sector-led driven development strategy. We look at it is ranked among the top tier of domiciles for captive insurance in terms of foreign exchange the investment flows into Barbados, that we have seen an increase from 1.2 billion in 2016 to 1.6 billion in 2020. So in terms of the ease of doing business, next slide, please. When we look at Barbados and we speak of the ease of doing business, in terms of an overview or a snapshot, I'd like to say that one, in terms of our regulations, the laws and regulations in Barbados really does make it easy for businesses to comply with the law, and in terms of setting up and functioning in their operations. It also has low tax regime, and when we speak of that, that's what really makes Barbados attractive. For example, we have a corporate tax rate which is 25%, and there's also no withholding taxes on dividends and interest or royalties. I mentioned before earlier the fact that we do have a highly skilled workforce, but I think I also want to really flag for those interested in doing business in Barbados the fact that we also have free trade agreements. And Barbados has free trade agreements with a number of countries, including the United States, Canada, the European Union, some Latin American countries, and the Caribbean community. And we also have bilateral investment treaties, double taxation treaties, tax information and exchange agreements, which of course investors and persons wanting to do business in Barbados can leverage. In terms of investment incentives, I am sure Renata will from Invest Barbados will speak to those in greater detail. But we also have in Barbados a commitment to what we call the global sustainability agenda, and because of that, the government also has been reaching into or exploring new markets in terms of renewable energy and providing incentives for businesses to enter into those the renewable energy sector as one of those thriving sectors that are open for business, doing business in Barbados. In terms of the ease of doing business, we also wanted to highlight that Barbados is ranked 128 out of 190 economies in the World Bank's ease of doing business. These are statistics that I really think, in terms of decision making for investors, these are some of the things that would lend the level of confidence to encourage persons wanting to expand into the Barbados market. So we also score well in terms of, you know, getting credit and how you start a business. And when you look at the World Bank Ease of Doing Business report, it also measures the regulatory environment of the Barbados economy and scores us well in terms of the ease of doing business, how the business facilitation processes, which is what I've been asked to address. So I wanted just to really deep dive into, when we speak about the ease of doing business, just really pinpoint some key areas that I think would be of interest to you as you in preparing to be a part of the delegation to Barbados and the upcoming mission. And we at the Barbados Chamber really look forward to welcome the delegation and to provide whatever support that we can provide in terms of business facilitation and information sharing. At this point, when we look at starting a business, if you have an interest in starting a business, the average process is 7 in terms of the procedures that you have to go through. And they say that the average days it takes to get a business up and running and registered in Barbados is 16 days. So there are steps. In fact, the government has been taking steps. It's a central policy mandate of the Barbados government to improve the ease of doing business. And the government itself has been taking steps to enhance that process in terms of the digitization across the business facilitation departments and reducing the time that it is required to register a company in Barbados. In fact, you know, a little statistics is that the number of new businesses registered in Barbados has increased from 840 in 2016 to 1,120 in 2022. In terms of ease of credit, that's also one of the things that we take pride in terms of the business ecosystem, where businesses can readily and easily access credit from our banks or financial institutions because the credit market here is well developed and there are in fact no restrictions on foreign ownership of businesses. In terms of the trade facilitation processes, I can also say that Barbados has been making the trade across borders easier by streamlining inspections by the port authorities and introducing an electronic system, which is called the electronic single window, and integrating government portals so that the process for importing and exporting is further streamlined and made even more efficient. In terms of sources of information, I'd just like to use this opportunity to say that there is a Barbados iGuide. The link is provided on this slide. There is entities like investment promotion agencies like Invest Barbados that are regarded and considered the first point of contact for investors. And the Barbados Chamber itself as well is seen as one of those business support organizations that is top of mind in terms of when you are seeking to enter into the Barbados market, how can you where can you reach for information on trade, industry, and the overall business environment in Barbados? So that is some of the sources that you can leverage and take advantage of. In terms of steps to doing business in Barbados, if a company you have been able to cement your done your research and you have an interest in actually not just doing business in terms of your contracts or your sales partners, established business partners, but you have an option or desire to actually set up a business in Barbados. I've used this opportunity as part of my presentation to also share briefly on how you do that. And so Barbados requires businesses to register with the Corporate Affairs and Intellectual Property Office. They are online. The slide provides you with the email address, but individuals or representatives, they would have to make the application, their business registration, incorporation of companies via the portal, and they can access. It's very user friendly, and you can create a free account on the KIPO's website, and it only takes a matter of few minutes. The process of registering a company in Barbados, I've also opted to just share a snapshot as well. Very clear steps. The process is seamless. The process is intended to assist you in ensuring that you are very clear about what is involved and what the requirements are. But I really just wanted to point out here to businesses that as part of registering a company, there are some very critical points to note that I just wanted to flag. That after your company is registered, you must register for taxes with what the Barbados Revenue Authority, and those again are accessible in terms of their online portals and the quality of information and guide and user-friendly guide that they provide. In terms of permits and licenses, it depends on your business activity that you may need to obtain additional permits or licenses, but you can check with the very relevant authorities and industry regulators. And I just wanted to echo, I know Renata will be making a presentation on behalf of Investment Barbados after me, but both Invest Barbados, Barbados Chamber are some of the sources of information that you can actually reach in terms of information. Now, in terms of time frame, the entire registration process for preparing documents, receiving your certificate of incorporation, that can take anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the complexity of your application. I think I just want to speak briefly as well on. I'm gonna jump a slide and just go all the way down to taxes. So in terms of the taxes, I feel that this is also important to add that in terms of doing business in Barbados and setting up a business here, some key things to note are in terms of our taxes. There's value add tax. Again, the Barbados Revenue Authority, they provide user tutorials and user guides on tax payments and providing a guide for businesses on the tax payments. So the main taxes are the value added tax and the personal income tax. There's also the corporate tax. Import taxes are found in the Barbados' customs tariff, and it is recommended that the services of a custom broker be used when you're importing into Barbados, importing or exporting. And for certain applications, you will need a tax clearance certificate. from the government entities or some financial institutions. So that's a snapshot of some of the taxes. Or the next slide really provides a clear and even more detailed snapshot of the corporate income tax that will be relevant to businesses once you are registered, and you are expected to be registered. So in terms of the income, in terms of income assessment, this is assessed on the profit derived for the business for that year under the Income Tax Act, and payable by the company upon its taxable income, as indicated on the slides, the slide above. In terms of successful strategies for doing business in Barbados, again, I'm providing only a snapshot in the interest of time, but these are what I have kind of pulled together for you. If you're a company seeking to do business in Barbados, you ask, what are some of the successful strategies that you need to, or key areas that you need to pay attention to? One, we'd advise a person exploring the Barbados market to first do your market research and entry strategy to ensure that you understand the local consumer preferences, the market demand, the competition for your business that exists, and your market research is also critical to helping you to identify a niche or a unique selling proposition. Another successful strategy is also ensure that you take advantage of Barbados' favorable tax environment and the incentives. Explore what the available tax incentives are, the exemptions for specific industries or activities. And here's where I would just encourage you to consult with a tax professional to optimize your tax strategy. Another key point that cannot be understated or overstated: local partnerships and networking. You're seeking to enter the Barbados market. Seek to identify strategic partners that can help to enhance your market penetration. The Barbados Chamber is also a very one of those business support organizations that companies from time to time leverage when seeking to establish the partnerships. There are other government entities that can also assist you, and associations that can assist you. But it is very important in trying to, penetrate any market that you kind of look at what are the strategic partnerships that you can identify. Look at the relationships in terms that you can build. Networking can also help you to access the potential B2B opportunities. I'd also recommend that community engagement and corporate social responsibility should be high on your agenda. Look at how you can integrate into the local community to align your brand and to enhance your company brand. And it also, nothing speaks of a brand than a community that can speak to your product and services. That's excellent marketing. I would also encourage you to consider hiring like local consultants or experts that can hold your hand through the process, provide the insights into the Barbadian market, assist you with the regulatory compliance, and even assist you with those, I always say are the unwritten rules of business. And finally, I'd say, there are many business support organizations depending on your niche. If you're in a manufacturer, you can also look at taking advantage of the Barbados Manufacturers Association, the Barbados Chamber of Commerce, just institutions that can help you to not just your market penetration, but just establishing a solid presence in the market and making use of the opportunities to ensure the successful growth and expansion of your business. So those are the strategies that I'd like to share, and the Chamber also asked me to just share a snapshot of the Barbados Chamber, who we really are, and as you're prepared to enter into the Barbados market, this is what I wanted to just share about the Chamber. The Chamber, I say, is that it's a diverse business sector that Barbados has. Our membership spans retail, distribution, manufacturing, energy, ICT professional services, renewable energy, a very broad base, and what I would call multi-sectoral representation of sectors across the economy. We have a membership of about 260 members, 75% of which are defined as small to medium-sized businesses. And I think what the Chamber prides itself on is the fact that it is in one of the oldest and well-recognized private sector organizations, not only in Barbados, but one of the oldest chambers across the Caribbean. And we have been what we call the voice of the business community for the 197 years that we have been in existence. The Chamber is well recognized in terms of its advocacy, representing the interest of the business community in terms of policy resolution and even influencing policy decisions at the governmental level as it relates to ensuring that we have an environment in Barbados that fosters growth for business and ensures that businesses will survive and thrive, particularly in these challenging times. When we talk about what is the value proposition that we offer businesses, we are, as I mentioned earlier, a respected brand. We are really the first choice for government and other stakeholders. We're well recognized as a chamber regionally and internationally, and we really do sit at the level of the social partnership with the private sector and the trade union and government to engage on policy and the economy, and how we move the economy forward. We have strong regional and alliances and partnership, one of which is with the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Commerce and with the wider network of chambers of commerce of which the Barbados Chamber is a founding member. In terms of what we do, what are the services that we offer? The snapshot here again, market expansion. And what do I mean by that? We help you to identify the external opportunities for markets. We do that for our members, as in, we continue to, we're aligned with the vision and the strategy of the Barbados government to explore the traditional and non-traditional markets. And we work alongside in terms of promoting Barbados as a place, an attractive place to invite you to do business. We as a chamber are also strong on providing B2B matchmaking for our members. We also play a key role in trade missions, whether we're doing trade missions for the local business sector or we're partnering with Invest Barbados and other investment promotion entities or government entities to just really help businesses really to explore opportunities to increase their brand and increase their market opportunities. We also do building partnerships through MOUs, and that's all a part of our agenda to support the market expansion for members of the chamber, members within our local business sector. We provide business facilitation services. just to, and in that area where these are the kind of value add that we provide to help with lead generations, tapping into the other markets. And as I said, what we are doing is, as a chamber, we continue to provide the relevant market research that companies will need to be able to make sound business decisions and to continue to grow their business. So I think that brings it to a close for me in terms of what I wanted to share with you as to one, the strategies that you can employ to successfully set up or just establish sound business partnerships with companies here in Barbados, the ease of doing business in Barbados, some of the key things that you need to know when doing business in Barbados, and just a really simple but comprehensive snapshot of the Barbados economy and the role that the Barbados Chamber serves in terms of as a business facilitator and support organization that can help you during the time that you are during the time that you visit Barbados and during the time that you would like to engage with other businesses here in Barbados, to connect and to collaborate. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Misha Loban-Clark from the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Our next presenter would come from one of our champion sponsors for both the Trade Mission and the Doing Business session, Answer Mobility. Ian Haywood Jr., the Operations Manager. Ian is a seasoned organizational leader, track record of success in optimizing operations to reduce costs and enhance overall efficiency. He is currently serving as the Operations Manager at Answer Motors Limited, overseeing and fine-tuning the company's operational processes. As a business from Trinidad and Tobago that is operating in Barbados, we thought that it would have been important for you guys to get some insights as to what it is to be like on the ground, as well as to find out from Answer what support they can also give to businesses from Trinidad while they operate in the market. So let me introduce you to Mr. Ian Haywood. Please give him a round of applause as he presents to us.
Thank you very much, Leoy. Morning all presenters, all chamber members. So our journey and what we're going to be discussing or presenting on is our journey part to here today. And we think it's important because a number of us in the room would have the same intention and the same concept and the same reality. And a couple years ago, probably about 5 years ago, I was sitting in my GM's office and we were discussing the Answer Rentals brand and how we're going to pivot and move into the new world. And in that research, we would have looked at the international markets, the European markets, the North American markets, the South American markets. And what we discovered was that there's a change in the future of transportation. At that time, the professional persons were moving away from the owning your cars for 8 years and doing more short-term periods, changing cars every 2 years, using trains, buses, and moving away from vehicle ownership in terms of the long understanding that we had of it. And as with that information, we decided to pivot to expand our brand from Answer Rentals to Answer Mobility because we were preparing for the future. 5 years ago, that future now exists, and that future is now here. So what we had to do is prepare, which is what we all have to do, for that future that now exists. And Answer Mobility now covers the 3 brand positions that we have, which is Answer Rentals, Europcar, and Y-Drive. Answer Rentals is our brand that speaks to our short-term car rental, our long-term leasing, which is like a 4-year option. It can have special packages for middle periods as well if you want to use executive vehicles for short-term periods as well. Europcar is our international brand. We have the franchise holder for Europcar in a number of Caribbean territories. And what we also have from that position is a partnership with the biggest European, the leading car rental company in the European market, right? So that's Europcar. And one of our favorites, Y-Drive. Y-Drive when you can be driven, and this has taken the storm. It is a very premium, safe, reliable facility. What we are providing in this ride-hailing option is we have vehicles owned by Ansa McAl and drivers owned and managed and employed by Ansa McAl. And from that perspective, there's a certain safety and security that comes with the transfers. We have persons using the transfers to pick up their children when they're stuck in a business meeting inland. But we also have persons using our transfers when you go to regional territories that we are part of to be able to be safe and secure as we move along. So the question, or one of the questions we want to answer is why did we decide to go and do business in Barbados? Why did we move from here? From Trinidad, which is our initial start, and decided to do business in Barbados. And that really comes from our brand position and our philosophy. We want to be the Caribbean's premier mobility partner. And I believe everybody here should want to be the best in class, not just locally, but in the Caribbean region, because the Caribbean region is now what we consider our home. No longer our home is limited to just where the sea meets the land. Our home is now a wider platform, and this is our base that we should be operating at. So understanding the fact that we wanted to be the Caribbean's premier mobility company, you have to be in multiple Caribbean islands. So at this point in time, we are operating in Barbados, yes, Trinidad, yes, Guyana, yes, and we have some other expansions coming up. Barbados, our footprint would have started, our history would have started in 1922 when Ford dealership was established in Barbados. So while mobility is a recent brand, 2017, the genesis of the relationship between the Ansa family and the Barbados market has been since 1922, with Ansa McAl forming its Ansa McAl Barbados division in 1959. As a separate entity, separate legal entity from the Ansa McAl Trinidad. And that's where we would have started that, and we went into motors, and then we would have pivoted in 2017 to Ansa Mobility in Barbados. Why? Because of the strong leisure market. What does that mean? There are opportunities for mobility that exist that did not exist before, but there are other opportunities that we did not capitalize on before. And when you purchase vehicles, for example, using our context, when you purchase vehicles, the purchaser tends to be somebody of a long term, a resident of the island, a national of the island. But there were a number of people who was coming into the Barbados market for shorter periods of time, for business trips, for 1 month stints at best, and for a couple of weeks. And those persons also needed the ability to move and to be transported and to move from one place to the other. So those are some of the services that we were able to expand our footprint into. A space that existed, but just not captured. So we were able to expand our footprint into leasing vehicles at a short-term period, picking you up in the airport, carrying you on tours, dropping you to and from your hotels, just by submitting your itinerary of what you plan to do in that space. And that would have also diversified our revenue stream, because in different capacities, similarly in Trinidad and Tobago, when we had shutdowns in certain markets, there were other markets that were able to buffer and support. So having a diversified revenue stream is critical. But we also believe we have a top product, and that is something that's important that we should all agree on. If you have a top product, you need to believe in yourself and believe in your product. So we believe that we also have a product to benefit that market. We believe it's critical when international persons come into an island, the first person they may meet is us at the airport, at the counter. How we deal with them, the type of vehicle they get, the concept of the Caribbean that once existed before is far from. Now you have vehicles that are better than what you drive at home, because our vehicles are 3 years and younger. Now you have customer service levels that is exceptional, the warmth of our Caribbean people, and so many different things we believe we could contribute and have contributed to that market as well, to the Barbados market as well, and the Guyanese market which we operate in. Because when people leave your territory and they go back home, they would say Barbados was amazing. They would say Trinidad and Tobago was amazing, or Guyana was amazing, full stop. And we believe we have a significant part to play in that experience. So what is our Barbados experience? We understand why we went there. We understand the reason and all the history and understanding the coordination of the parent company. But what have we experienced? And it's only fitting to put this slide. I wish we were talking about Guyana, but yeah. But it's the messaging is interesting because Trinidad Knight Riders and Barbados Tridents are both CPL teams. Royals now, correct. That was actually intentional. I wanted to make sure that we had persons who were paying close attention to the presentation. So we have a prize for you, and we discussed it at the end of the session. Yeah? So y'all are here with me, yeah. And while we are both CPL teams, it's chalk and cheese. We wouldn't say which one is chalk and which one is cheese, but there are differences in the two teams, right? So I'm on the Barbados side, just saying. But similarly, the two business environments, while part of a Caribbean diaspora, has differences and there are uniqueness in each space. And some of those uniquenesses will be one, the ESG position of Barbados. If we have been there, if we have explored their business position, their governmental position, it's extraordinary. What Barbados is doing now as it pertains, and for a number of years actually, as it pertains to hybrid vehicles, as it pertains to the electric vehicles, and not just the vehicles, but the infrastructure that the country would have put in place along the highways and the byways to be able to charge your vehicles is extraordinary. And what that has given us is an opportunity to capitalize on that, an opportunity to move from using petrol and diesel in our movements and to move to a cleaner burning fuel, which drops your cost of production. But that is not just limited to mobility. That's limited to anybody that is expanded to anybody who does distribution. There's a cost of distributing goods that you may calculate now, that if you change to electric vehicle and have the infrastructure to support that change, can significantly change your price position. So that's one of the major things that we have experienced and that would have happened with us. From a legislative perspective, it is also critical, as we know, our SWOT analysis, our internal and our external threats. But it's important to know the legislative framework of the country or the territory that we're entering in. In one case, Barbados has a quota on how many hired vehicles you can register at one particular time. So while you may experience in Trinidad, you feel to register 100 vehicles. So you just go and you have your money, you pay a check, you buy your vehicles, and you start your business. You have to now apply for a particular quota and be evaluated, and then you have that cap. Now that is important to understand those things, because if you position your business to run a 100-car operation, but only after getting into this space you realize you are capped at a particular level, then you would then be overstaffed, over-resourced, and then that could impact your bottom line. So it is critical that we understand the legislative spaces that we operate in whatever industry we are in, what are the differences. We cannot take it for granted. Some of it is actually subliminal, and we lose, and not lose it, but don't see it. For example, the location in the Caribbean. There's a saying in Trinidad that God is a... Correct. So you want a prize as well. See? So it's intentional. And that is because we have not experienced the significant amount of natural disasters, the impact of it. We see it, but we haven't felt it here. And that would have evaluated and would have transformed into our position being God is a Trini. But in a number of our Caribbean islands, Barbados included, we would have experienced a number of different natural disasters. For example, in the picture is ash. That ash in Barbados was not even erupted in Barbados. And that's just the impact of the location of the Caribbean. But there is an element where we have to deal with in terms of ensuring the health and wellness of our staff and our people, what's happening to their homes, how do we take care of their families, how do we ensure that they are able to come out of that space and still be able to greet our guests with positivity and with comfort. There's also a business continuity element that must be taken into consideration. How do we, after the dust settles, no pun intended, continue or to revamp our operations in those territories? And it is critical to budget for that. And that is something that is unique because in Trinidad space and in Tobago space, we may not necessarily put a line item in our budget for disaster preparedness, for relief to our staff in case of that type of emergency. But it is something that we have to put provisions for in that space. And in other Caribbean islands, we have to put those provisions for that. And I may dare say, based on how the climate and the world is changing and the type of heat we experience, we may even need to start to put those provisions here for that because anything can happen at any time. And along that same weather path, there's a common term, the snowbirds come to Barbados, with the whole concept of moving from a colder environment to a more tropical space. But we have looked at that as a peak. And it is something very unique because in the Trinbago space, we may see a 3-week or 4-week peak around February, March. We may have a next peak around November, December. And we may have a July, August kind of peak sometimes, a couple of weeks. And our business model is built on short peaks. But in the Barbados context, there is a significant increase from around October to April. So that is a 6-month period of peak, which means it's no longer peak, it's actually half year. It's a stable, increased position. And as a business, we should be able to pivot and be ready to capitalize on that. So when we have experiences where you stock a certain amount of product because of your normal operation, and then there's an increased demand for your product from the hotels or from other members who want to experience it, and you're not able to supply, you have lost that opportunity. In the Barbados market, is the peak. It's a beautiful space because you're not pivoting for 3 weeks. You're able to make a more sustainable pivot for a longer period of time because you have 5 to 6 months that you could capitalize on that peak. So it is something that you should take into consideration, whatever your business model is. There is an opportunity for peak. And my best part of this entire presentation is really understanding where we were in 2017 and understanding where we are now. Remembering when I started to go to Barbados and traveled and missed the stop and went and made the wrong turn and went and ate the wrong food and all those different things, and understanding the experience we have now. What we want to do as Answer Mobility is not just to tell the chamber about our experience, but to also walk through your experience with you. So as a partner, we want to be able to be your destination support. And if you look at the slide, you would see it says from home to home. Not from door to door, from home to home. What we want to do, or what we can do, is pick you up at home in Trinidad, carry you to the airport with Y-Drive, book your flights and your hotel. So when you land in Barbados or Guyana, we pick you up there as well with our nice electronics line, Mr. Timothy Smith, carry you to your hotel, check you in, carry you on a tour of the island or 2, pick you back up after your meetings, carry you back to your hotel, back to the airport, back to Trinidad, and back to your home. And all of that can be facilitated right here. Before you leave, make sure and scan your QR code and send your information to the back so you'll have access to that. And that, what that does is it takes away the uncertainty. And in the world that we're living now, in the business spaces that we're operating in now, uncertainty is not something that we are interested in. We want to be able to forecast and forecast accurately. We want to be able to ensure that if we have a percentage markup, the expectation is we hit very close to that and not be impacted too much by the external things. The external things do happen, but it is better to let those challenges happen to persons who are doing it every day so that they would be better able to cope and pivot faster. Yeah? 15% of car rentals. Some of you always say, I'm good, I'm not a baby. I just want to reach in the airport and just give me something, I'll bring it back for you. So for everybody in this room, our companies, ourselves, we have all access now to a 15% car rental in any territory, including Trinidad and Tobago. So you don't just have to be on a mission trip to benefit from it. You just have to be present here today. What that does is when you register, that voucher will be sent to your phone, and you would be able to utilize that for your businesses as well. If you have internationals coming here at any other time of the year and you want to pick them up in the airport, if you have brand ambassadors and suppliers coming from anywhere and you want to pick them up to the airport and bring them to Hilton or whatever, you can activate that 15% off, and it is not a one-time 15%. It's running for the next year. Right? So you can utilize that 15% off in any one of our territories to rent one of our vehicles. And for persons who have reached to the point where you went to Barbados, you went to that territory, you now want to establish business. You want to establish operations, but you want to remove the unforeseen costs. In the middle, we have the leasing option, where you can lease vehicles for your fleet. Different types of vehicles, cars, vans, different types of vehicles in the space. And what we'll offer you today, this is not going to be for the rest of the next year, but for the rest of this year, we're going to offer specials to anyone who's interested to start the conversation on if you lease 8 vehicles from us, we will throw in the 9th vehicle free as our contribution to ensuring that your operation is fluid, your operation is balanced. And of course, the lease perspective is brilliant because all you do is put fuel, or in the Barbados context, electricity, and drive. And that's what we want to do as a partner with you. How do we take away you having to analyze how you're moving from here and there, how you're managing your business, and allow you the opportunity to focus on your core competencies, focus on the things that you are brilliant at and what you are best at. And this is why we proposed that, and this is why we would have partnered with the TNT Chamber, because we believe what they're doing is great work, but we also believe that if you have gone through an experience before and you have seen the challenges and you now find solutions, you should stand up and be counted and make yourself an available option to those who are coming behind or who are there as well facing the same challenges, to have some sort of ease. So that basically is a wrap on the experience, the history, the why, and the what. And if there are any other questions, we can discuss it during the session. But at the end, we can meet at our booth in the back and have a nice little chat and on how we could be your mobility partner. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Haywood, for that very entertaining, comprehensive, but very informative presentation. I am very sure that many of our businesses here today will reach out to you guys to take advantage of the many opportunities that you would have presented to them. Our last and final presenter hails from Barbados and will be joining us virtually. Ms. Renata Mohammed will be representing Ms. Kay-Ann Greenidge from Invest Barbados. Invest Barbados is an economic development agency of the government of Barbados, which is responsible for attracting, winning, and sustaining international investment for Barbados. The corporation is also responsible for helping to develop and manage the Barbados International Business brand. For those of us who are going to Barbados, for those of us who are interested in doing more business with Barbados, this presentation will help to guide us in what are the investment opportunities in the market and how we can take best advantage of it. Ms. Renata Mohammed.
Hi, good morning, everyone, and thank you for the introduction. I am not Kay Greenidge. Kay is our CEO, and she's currently traveling. My name is Renata Mohammed. I am the Director of Investment and Marketing at Invest Barbados. Invest Barbados is, of course, the National Investment Promotion Agency of the Government of Barbados, and I immediately invite you to consider Barbados as a place to live, to work, to play, to invest, expand, export to, and grow. In addition to the beaches and warm hospitality, for which we are well known, for welcoming investment climate also awaits. And the time is now. This seminar presents us with a platform to explore the possibilities. And I thank you for the invite to remind that we are also a neighboring destination for the purpose of business. We absolutely look forward to hosting all of you in the upcoming mission in Trinidad and Tobago to Barbados. So, welcome to Barbados. We know each other. We established diplomatic relations in 1966 and are both signatories of the Treaty of Chaguaramas. Our relations are cordial, and we look to each other for entertainment, for cuisine, to catch a break, and unite during times of carnival in Trinidad, crop over in Barbados, and for better or worse, through cricket. Small in size, as per the words of Kofi Annan, we punch above our weight. Of interest to you would be our political, economic, and social stability, a non-floating dollar, a low crime rate, one of the higher GDPs in the region, and listed as the least corrupt country in the Caribbean. Recently, ranked second for competitiveness among the Latin American and Caribbean countries by the Global Financial Services Index, Barbados remains a resilient financial center with a stable credit rating. I share these achievements to note that we have built and we have maintained a solid foundation underpinned by transparency and compliance, manned by a highly educated workforce. There is free to extreme level education here, and a literacy rate of 99.6%. That translates to a highly educated and trainable workforce immediately available to you. We are but a mere 40 minutes away from each other, either by air or by sea, and we offer daily connections to the rest of the world. We also enjoy reliable, strong, and fast telecommunication connectivity, all of which serve to keep us easily connected. We are well regulated, and while we appreciate the value of our tourism sector, global business is the business of Barbados. Quick facts: Barbados has a long history in financial services with over 4,000 financial service companies, 40 double taxation agreements, and 9 bilateral investment treaties and growing. And we are among the top 5 largest captive insurance domiciles in the world. All of this comes down to us offering to you an amazing quality of life. If you are considering the establishment of a business in Barbados, know that we'll be joining an expanding roster of growing entities on the island and brands familiar to you who are very much at home here. For those considering trade, we also have an established and proven track record where brands are already on our shelves, and our sister agency, Export Barbados, is available to discuss the possibilities further. Already very well known for our tourism products, we are committed to the diversification of our economy, and we have been promoting a productive sector globally. These include areas such as insurance, wealth management, financial services, information communication technology, renewable energy, and niche marketing, to name a few. The majority of these sectors, just so you know, generally withstood the shocks of the pandemic and registered increased demand, particularly in insurance, ICT, and niche manufacturing sectors. Allow me to excite you a little further with the mention of our other investment opportunities that abound, from the traditional to the emerging. Agriculture is a sector that has experienced substantial growth recently. As such, investment opportunities are ripe for the picking, pun intended, and areas such as high food production, agro-processing, as well as farming serve towards local and regional.
Okay, so it doesn't what it is we will do right now is try to liaise with Renata through the system in the background so that she can continue her presentation so that everyone could hear more clearly. But in the meantime, we just kind of want to invite you guys, if you have questions for Danraj or for Ian from Answer Mobility, at this point in time, we can do their questions and then we could follow from there, as well as if you have any other general questions. So we also have Mr. Dorian Nichols from the general manager at Answer as well. So I'm going to invite all three men to join us at the top here. And we can have a conversation with them and then revert to the presentation once that comes on. Is that okay? So we also have a mic. Okay, so we are opening the floor to take any questions from the audience. So I do know their presentations were pretty comprehensive, but we do encourage you guys to ask as much questions as possible so as to be as prepared to go into market. Yes, Ms. Dimas. Hold on one sec, the mic is coming to you.
Question for Anrad. Funds available from Export TT. Does it have to come via a BSO or can a company approach directly?
Everything is direct to Export TT, but of course, I mean, DSOs are our partners, so we rely on them to getting them the information to their membership. And I've already had some discussions with Stephen about doing a presentation on our full suite of services to the full membership, but people are aware. It always surprises me. Like anywhere we go, we always find persons who are just not aware of all the things that we offer, but you come to us directly, and we work closely with most of the BSOs, so you could go through them as well. But anything that is comfortable for you or works for you.
Also, a lot of your presentation was geared towards, products, goods.
Yeah.
Do you have any special sort of assistant or export promotion for services?
Yeah, so this year we've embarked on one services mission, and certainly in the next fiscal we'd want to look at more of those because we've tried having both at the same time. Doesn't really work as well because when we're setting up meetings, most of the manufacturers want to meet with distributors, and distributors don't necessarily want to meet with the services providers. So what we find is that, like, depending on the consultant that we utilize, they may have good links with distributors, but they may not necessarily have the links necessary for the services providers. So it's much more specialized in terms of dealing with the services providers and then the different types of services. So it's a bit more complex. I would say that it's very easy for products, especially fast-moving consumer goods, because you generally know who are the distributors and buyers in those. So next fiscal, I would say at least two we'll look at implementing, and then there are some changes that I put forward to the ministry with respect to our co-financing facility. So a lot of our services providers have been asking for support in developing their own promotional material, so like digital brochures, videos, and that sort of thing. So we're adding that to our offering under co-financing early in the next fiscal. Waiting to hear what happens in the budget, because I'm not sure if you guys are aware of where Export TT is at with respect to an amalgamation with Invest TT and Creative TT. But we hope that throughout that process that we could retain all our support and continue delivering value to exporters.
I actually have a question for Answer McCall that came. With regards to ICT solutions, I know that is something that you guys integrate within your business. how has your experience been operating with the Barbadian market and using information technology?
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. I would say the Barbados market is that of any other. We're actually at the point now where we're about to deploy an actual ICT integration in terms of our booking platform in the Barbados market. The challenges that you get would be the same in terms of connectivity between the banks in the Caribbean on a whole and to some of the providers who develop apps out of the US. That's one of the challenges we do have from the point where, not to get too technical, but a lot of the connection go through one particular channel, which is FAC, in terms of the bank platform. However, some of the gateways of the app providers in the US cannot connect with the FAC, right? So then you have to then look at other options of payments, right, in terms of how to have in-app payments through other ways. But outside of that, you know, you have flow here. We have, you know, the connectivity of itself is the internet is strong, the availability is there. So I think we should have minimal challenge in Barbados as pertains to ICT.
That's great. I know that one or two of our delegations does fall within the ICT sector, so I imagine that that is good news for them. Do we have any other questions from the floor? Yes, Renee?
Hi, morning everyone. Rachel Rani. I have a agro-processing company. We do frozen fruits, and we recently entered into the Barbados market. We're distributed by Massey Distribution. So we're new to that market, but we're still a very small company. Mr. Hayward, you mentioned, you know, Barbados having this strong leisure market. In terms of, I know you may not have, without giving out too much insight into your company secrets, but just, you know, what are some tips in accessing or tapping into that market? We do frozen fruits for smoothies, cocktails, things like that. But any recommendations around that particular market and how we can maybe speak to them a little more closely?
One is going on a trade mission with the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber. That'll be good. Because what it does is it pulls a number of partners or potential partners in one space. So it takes away the hassle of having to run all over the island and deal with it one at a time. And you have a nice target market. The tourism side is very important to connect with the hotels and that base industry. Some of the different trade spaces as well, and the various associations, especially if it's frozen fruits, then you would have more locals making mixes and those kind of stuff. So you want to be able to get access to those small and medium SMEs and those operations. And the best place to do it would be through the chambers, where you'll be able to get a mass mailing kind of list to be able to start that connection. Send out fishing and then see one or two come in. So that might be the best platform to start first.
What I may also add is in terms of Barbados also have the Barbados Hotel Association, right? So it may be wise to connect with the Barbados Hotel Association, and they may be able to get you into meetings with not just the hotels, but also the restaurants that are available as well.
And to add to Mr. Nichols' point, when you go on the missions, you may interact with some agencies. So that association will also be invited to our opening ceremony, as well as a number of other agencies. And what you would want to do as your company is take that further. Make sure to build the relationships and the partnerships so that when you come back to Trinidad, it's about following up, ensuring that you could expand your network and being able to bring more business to your company. Yeah? Any more questions?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, good morning. I'm Jeanette Marcel. My business is Handmade by Jeanette Company. So I have a similar question. So I do granola and spice rubs. And yes, it's more on the high-end spectrum. So what suggestion would you have for me in terms, and I'm small also, in terms of interacting, who should I interact with, and what the granola and breakfast cereal market is like in Barbados.
That- I'm
Okay,
not sure.
so that's a very specific question, Jeanette, which we, as the chairman, as your administrative liaison for the trade mission, we will deal with you specifically and privately with regards to your business needs, so that we could connect you to the right persons in market. But just to give you some examples, you would be looking at gourmet shops, gourmet type of supermarkets and those type of things. So we will liaise with you to kind of gather your interest a little bit more to determine who is the best fit for you in market, and we will discuss it further. I know we have a question over here, and then take another one. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Angela Moore, and my product is Island Teas. It's ready-to-go iced fruit tea, right? It has to be stored within like the coconut water within the cold beverages department. Actually, presently I'm at Massey store. So what I want to know is, would it be easier for me to get my goods in Barbados Massey that I'm already in the Massey?
So it does help. But we do have a challenge, and I guess let's all be frank. When it comes to cold storage facilities and shipping and transport within the Caribbean, it is something that we have been working on with the government and different agencies, but that is something that you need to take into consideration. And I'm pretty sure that you can have a conversation with Ms. Famine Function, Rachel, who would be able to kind of give you some ideas of some of the challenges in terms of dealing with cold storage shipments from one country to the other. However, as you are with Massey already in Trinidad and Tobago, it does help in terms of distributorship on the island in Barbados, but you do also have to make the connections, create the partnerships, and ensure that you're in contact with them so that the integration can happen more seamlessly. You're welcome. And I do encourage businesses, all those that are here, to interact with each other, because one of the things that we realize is that some of the challenges tend to be the same. And if someone has already been able to succeed and overcome a challenge in market, we all want to help each other. It's foreign earnings coming back to our country, employing our people, and boosting our entire economy. Yeah? Any more questions? No? Okay, great. So we are going to just finalize the Invest Barbados presentation. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your time and for your responses. And that will take us to the end of our session once Renata is completed with her presentation.
We know each other. We established diplomatic relations in 1966 and are both signatories of the Treaty of Chaguaramas. Our relations are cordial, and we look to each other for entertainment, for cuisine, to catch a break, and unite, especially during times of carnival in Trinidad, crop over in Barbados, and for better or worse through cricket. Small in size, as per the words of Kofi Annan, we punch above our...
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I prefer excellence, yeah? So what we will do is we will send you all a copy of the presentation so that you can have all of the information and the slides that we would have missed from this particular presentation. If you do have any specific questions, you would be able to route it to us, and we will reach out and send the responses to you. So I just want to thank you, and at this point in time, I will invite my colleague, Mr. Brian Benoit, the Regulatory and Monitoring Affairs Officer within the TBDU, to give some closing remarks. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Leoy, for moderating this informative session. We at the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce have been delighted to facilitate this seminar on doing business in Barbados as we prepare for our trade mission in Barbados in October. So our presenters would have introduced us to a wide array of business opportunities possible between our two CARICOM states, and helped us to understand the key aspects of preparing to do business in the market that is Barbados. It is our hope that by understanding the challenges, differences, opportunities, availability of financing, and the experience of private sector shareholders already in the market, you will be more inclined to diversify and expand your businesses. So we acknowledge that there are challenges that exist to overcome, and as the premier business association of Trinidad and Tobago, the Chamber is committed to working with all stakeholders to enhance trade facilitation and provide support to accelerate trade. This morning, the pleasure is mine to say a very thank you to all our presenters that presented here today, and thank you for taking the time to educate us on these important topics. So I trust that our participants took notes of the critical elements which they can now take back to their businesses and strategize and maximize the different opportunities within your businesses. So thank you again to our moderator. Thank you to our sponsors, Answer Mobility and Flow Business, and to the wider Chamber team for putting on this session here today. And to our audience, thank you for taking the time to be here with us this morning for this engaging discussion, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your morning. So thank you, everyone, and take care. Bye.
So a quick announcement, we will just like to meet with all of the companies that are going with us on the trade mission. So if you can just make your way to the front, probably the two front tables, we would just like to discuss some logistical matters with you, as well as we invite everyone else to have some refreshments, network with each other, and get acquainted.
You want to change our branding, right? That is why I'm just doing certain things with this. By November, I will know whether or not we go to change in logo and all kind of things. So you understand my predicament? It's all well and good for everybody to want. But then
Just reminding the delegation, the persons who are attending the trade mission, to meet us in front, please.
Yes, oh yeah. Like there's membership program. Yeah. Especially like yeah. Membership. So what you do is pay an annual membership. Based on your business category, the call within, whether it be abroad and so on. And what it allows you is to have different training events that you get that like that. Oh no, no. I don't know.